All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the Memory Techniques Workshop by Rocky's Resources. So today we're going to work on improving your memory to help you improve your grades. And the goal at the end of listening to today's workshop is that students will be able to utilize various memory techniques in order to assist them in recalling material both in and out of the classroom. So hopefully after today, you'll remember a lot more for your classes and learn some ways to help you do that. So our agenda, we'll talk about three main areas: why we forget, how we can remember, and then some tips and tricks to improve memory. So why we forget. Mental overcrowding is one reason, cramming, a lack of connection with the topic that we're learning, a lack of interest, and then sometimes even a negative self-concept. So we'll kind of go through each of these in more detail, what they really mean, and then we'll also talk about some solutions to them for each one. So mental overcrowding. This is when you have a lot going on. So it could be in class, but it could also be with your friends, your family, a relationship. It could be, a sport you're playing, a student organization. It could just be life coming at you, right? And it's just you have a lot going on and a lot to process. So some solutions to mental overcrowding are to make sure that you're taking extra time. So if you know that it's going to be really hard for you to focus because you're thinking about an argument that you had, or you're really excited about this event that you have that you're planning coming up, whatever it might be, good or bad, if you know that it's going to be harder for you to focus, it's really important to take extra time, even though this is probably when you have the least time, when you are mentally overcrowding yourself, right, with so many things going on. But making sure that you can try to plan out extra time. If you know a homework assignment normally takes you an hour, try to plan an hour and a half. This can really be helpful for you, just so that way you're not trying to cram in finishing that assignment at the end, and kind of just going through the motions of it too. So also giving intense attention to what is new or difficult. Often we want to do the exact opposite of this, right? And just kind of shy away from what's new and difficult and go back to what is familiar and easy. And this can come in different ways. So if you're thinking about like math class, let's say you have a test over chapters 2 through 5, right? Let's say you have those chapters to have a test on. If you're learning chapter 5 and it's really challenging, you might resort back to studying for chapters 2, 3, and 4 because those are so much easier for you. When in reality, you should spend that much more time studying chapter 5, even though, of course, still study those other chapters, right? You don't want to just not even read those at all. But really, more of your time should be going to what's new and what's difficult. Sometimes it'll also happen, let's say that you just do, the whole math test is new and difficult and challenging, right? Maybe then you want to put all of your efforts into your art project or into your accounting class that you love or whatever it might be. This can be a really good distraction. So some people also clean instead of having to do your homework or, other things that you wouldn't normally want to do, but because you just want to avoid something that much more. But really it's important to give that intense attention to what's new and what's difficult. And so some ways to help you through that are asking questions, which is the next one, but asking questions to people who can help you. So this can be your professor. Definitely reach out to your professor. I know that can sometimes be nerve-wracking to professor office hours, but definitely they're there to help you, and they can be so helpful in helping you to understand not just the material, but how to study for the material. The professors are the ones who are really making the exam or the paper criteria or whatever it is that you're worried about, and they're the one grading you. So they will have a much better insight than probably anyone into really like what you should be doing to prepare and what you should study in preparation for any upcoming assignments or exams. Also thinking about tutors. Tutors are an excellent resource and an excellent group of people to ask questions to. Don't forget that we have tutors through Rocky's Resources, and several departments have tutoring as well. So make sure that you're using tutoring resources too. Also making sure that you are asking any classmates that you might have that can help you, like if you're in a lab class or you have friends in the class, but asking someone who, can hopefully help you to understand and process that information. And then also reviewing that information shortly after learning. So this is really important and something that I think a lot of students can work on building, right? So this isn't something that we normally think of doing, but it's like a habit to build and kind of get into. So instead of taking your notes on Monday, not looking at them again until your quiz or test, which is maybe a month away, when you take notes on that Monday, if it's a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class, maybe you look at them on Tuesday. or Monday night, like kind of like that evening or the next day. And then on Wednesday, when you take those notes, looking at them Wednesday night or Thursday evening, or, so on and so forth, so that you're just constantly kind of reviewing your notes, and not just like a quick read through, but really kind of asking questions about the notes you took or about the material you learned. What don't you understand? And I know that can be hard. It can kind of be like, what, I don't even know what I don't know. What am I supposed to ask questions on? And you can say that too. Like, you can tell tutors, professors, classmates, like, I don't even understand what I don't understand. And that's perfectly valid and like a good way to start asking questions, just by saying, I don't really understand this and I don't even know where to start. And that kind of gives you a starting point, really. So making sure to review that information shortly after learning, really going through it with your heart, with the focus and intent to really learn it and remember it, because it's all about memory, right? Also continually reviewing that information. So if you take the notes on Monday, go over them Tuesday, that's great. Then on Wednesday, when you take notes and you review those Thursday night, maybe you go over Monday and Wednesday's notes. And then on Friday, when you review that on Friday night or Saturday, maybe you go over both Monday, Wednesday, and Friday's notes. Or, you kind of build that way to create a schedule. So that way you are just slowly studying for an exam without really having to carve in that much extra time, but you're just constantly reviewing. So now cramming. So cramming happens when you find out that you have an exam you didn't know about, or maybe you just decided you didn't want to study for an exam, whatever the reason might be, you had too much going on, whatever it is. You maybe are studying the night before, the morning of, an hour before, whatever it might be. You just have to cram in a bunch of information in a short period of time. So the first thing, obviously, here is maybe try to study and plan ahead of time. This isn't always possible if it's a pop quiz, right? Like, if you generally don't know a quiz is coming up. But if you do know when the test exams are, if they're in the syllabi at the beginning of the semester, that's super important to write down into the planner, to plan that time out, and also having like more of a schedule with it too. So if you know you have class that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, class at noon, 12 to 12:50, and then you have a break, maybe every day from 1 to 1:50, you do, this is another class of homework or that kind of thing. Like, you can plan out every Tuesday, Thursday, from 3 to 5, you're going to study, that kind of thing. So just planning out consistent study time. And I always recommend studying or setting a study time for more than you think, and then you get kind of time back in your day. So instead of saying, I'm going to study from 4 to 5, saying 3 to 5. And then if you finish studying early, then that's great. But otherwise, there's probably more that you study than you really realized. So that's important. And one way to study is quizzing yourself before the quiz. So you can, create your own study guide, cover half of that up, quiz yourself. You have a friend or a classmate or family member, someone quiz you. That's also really important. So, or tutors. So that's utilizing your friends, classmates, academic resources for help, and then also to help quiz you. Those are definitely important as well. Also studying at the end of your day. So this is important because so much happens in your day. So if you study right after class, maybe you have a 9 a.m. class, and you're like, oh, I have an hour between my 9 a.m. and my 11 a.m. class. That's great. I'll study now. Then you maybe have your 11 a.m. class, and you have your 12 p.m. class. And then you have practice, and then you have a student organization, and then you're getting dinner with friends, and then you're studying for another class. And then you come back to do something else, and you might have forgotten all that you learned at the beginning of the day that you studied at 10 a.m. because your day just has so much going on. So make sure to study at the end of your day at nighttime, especially if you have an exam the next day. It can just help you to absorb the information because there's less disruptions after at the end of your day. Okay, also a lack of connection. So this can be if, maybe you're taking a gen ed class that you just don't really care about. Like, if you are a business major and you're taking a science class and you're like, I don't like lab science. This is not what I want to do. Or maybe you're a lab science major and you're taking an art class you don't care about. You know what I mean? It can kind of go whatever way, but maybe you're just not connecting to the material. That kind of is similar to lack of interest, which we'll talk about, but lack of connection is really like, I'm just not understanding this. It's just not clicking for me. So thinking about writing things in your own words. So this is really important because it's important to still take down the notes that the professor or teaching assistant gives you, but also trying to write questions and write the notes and examples, connections in your own words to help you understand. And then we have recall versus recognition. So this is the idea that If you're having a lack of connection with something, you want to really work to remember something so that you can recall the information, not just recognize it. So recognizing it would be like, if you saw it on multiple choice, you might be able to get it because you're just kind of recognizing that information. Versus recalling that information would be when you have to do an essay prompt or a fill in the blank. A fill in the blank is kind of in the middle, but I'd say like an essay prompt. Like it's just an open question. You have to kind of answer everything. And even though most exams, I'd say, are oftentimes multiple choice or have some component of multiple choice or fill in the blank, it's important to always study like you're studying to recall information. Like you're studying that if someone asks you an open-ended question, you could answer it. That way, when you see the multiple choice, you're going to know exactly how to answer. You're going to know much more detailed information about the questions that are being asked. So it's really important to try to work to recall, and that can help you just remember it more. Versus if you're studying to just like hopefully recognize it 25% chance of getting on the exam, you know, that you're not really working to study as hard as you would if it was an essay exam and you had to maybe teach it to someone else or explain in a whole paragraph what you're talking about. So thinking about studying in that way can maybe really help too. Okay, so lack of interest and negative self-concept. So a lack of interest would be like, so say you're that science major in an art class and you just don't like it, or maybe it's a type of science you don't like, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be totally different subject. But let's say that you just aren't interested in the class. Lack of connection and lack of interest kind of go hand in hand sometimes. But also negative self-concept. So this can be, you know, if you have faced academic difficulty in the past or you're worried about academic difficulty in this semester, it can just be, you know, kind of saying, oh, I don't, you know, oh, I hope I get a D in this class, or, you know, I hope I pass. Like, kind of not setting your bar high enough, or saying, oh, I don't care about this class. I know I'm not going to pass anyway, or I know I'm not going to get a good grade, so I'm not even going to try. You know, this can really bring down your motivation to really put in your all and to do your best. And so it's really important to think positively, to trust in your abilities and remember your motivations. Why are you here? Why are you in this class? And what's motivating you to really do well. So keeping all of that in mind to hopefully help with your lack of interest and negative self-concept if you feel like you experience those as issues that actually do impact your memory too. All right. So now we're on to our last kind of area here for the workshop, which is some, we have 7 tips and tricks to remember some more content. So these are kind of quick, and some of them are so simple that maybe you're like, oh, I already knew that, I already do that. But, you know, hopefully at least one of these is new for you and will really help you to remember. So grouping. These are more simple examples, but you could think about a phone number. So this is our phone number for the University Advising and Academic Support Center. You can have it all as one number, but typically when we give our phone number to someone or write down somewhere, we have like the little parentheses or the little hyphen, and we separate it out, right? We don't just like spew a whole number. Or like if we're looking here at the photo or the picture of the shapes, you could sort by shapes. You could sort by colors. You know what I mean? There's different ways to sort things. So you could think about that in more complex subject areas too, and how grouping things can really help you to better visualize really what's going on, especially if you are a visual learner. Grouping can really help. And maybe that comes down to just writing concepts on paper and grouping them together, writing them in different color pen colors or whatever it might be, highlighting, that kind of thing. Rhyming. So for example, 6 times 8 equals 48, the year Wisconsin became a state. So some people who grew up in Wisconsin learned that that's how they learned 6 times 8 equals 48 and the year Wisconsin became a state all in one. So if there's ways that you can rhyme to help you remember, that can be helpful too. And you can create your own rhymes. They can be silly or not really rhyme and that kind of thing. But as long as it helps you remember, that's all that matters. Alphabetizing. So this is also really important as well. So, I mean, you can think of all different ways to do this. So if you have like a grocery list as the example here, but mangoes, lemons, apples, peaches, artichokes, you could, you know, alphabetize it. So you have 2 A's, L, M, P. So you're just trying to, so I remember having to remember each one. Now I just remember double A, L, M, P. And that can maybe make it easier for you to remember the whole word once it happens. So that can be really useful for vocabulary, for, you know, various subjects, for history, for all different areas, and how this can apply to you and your classes specifically. Acronyms. So an example would be like a point of sale or like a part of speech. And then that same list that we had from the other page, the mangoes, artichokes, lemons, peaches, and apples, that can also be turned into an acronym that says a lamp. And so that's something to think about too. You can try to make acronyms out of words or phrases or vocabulary, just things that you're trying to remember. So that's definitely something to look for as well, how you can kind of make fun acronyms out of that. Or we have Roy G. Biv, like the rainbow down there. So definitely some acronym usage. All right, narration or a song. So an example of this would be like the Hannah Montana bone dance. So if you are in a kinesiology class and trying to learn all the bones, there is a song out there for you. There's also songs for all the muscles in the body. There's songs to remember a lot of things like the periodic table of elements. There's songs out there. YouTube is a wonderful resource, a wonderful place. So definitely thinking about ways that you can Google and YouTube or create your own song and put it to a different song or a verse that you like and try to remember certain information. Some visuals. So it's important to doodle notes if you feel like if you're up for it. So this isn't maybe for everyone, but if you are a visual learner, this can be really helpful for you. So if you learn a concept in class and it's just a lot of bland like writing notes and not a lot of bullet points or check marks or things, you could even do that, and that can count as doodling, or it could count as like doodling little, like they have a little globe or a little light bulb here. Or a little graph, like all the words and kind of distinguish where it is on the page to really help you remember. So when we study that page, you'll hopefully associate the image with the information. And maybe even sometimes people can like kind of see that in their head, like, oh, I remember where it was on the page when I was studying, that kind of thing. So definitely visuals are helpful. And this is the verbal to visual ratio. So it's recommended the 50-50 rule. And you can kind of play with this number how you see fit, but you can think about all different things like putting stars, your own drawings, putting a little light bulb when you have a cool idea, putting little arrows, check boxes, anything can count. You don't have to be good at drawing or, a super artist or anything like that. So hopefully from this, you'll be able to have ways to better visualize your notes and get better concrete examples for your notes and things to associate them with. And lastly, for tips and tricks, we have regurgitating. So if none of that is working for you, sometimes it is just reciting out loud what is going on. For math, linguistics, whatever area or subject it might be, sometimes you have to say it like out loud. Reading is good, but sometimes you need to say it to yourself over and over and over again. Different facts, or 6 times 8 equals 48, 6 times 8 equals 48. And you can say that multiple times, going multiple times again and again, just until you remember. Trying that multiple times a day, several days before an exam, weeks before an exam, hopefully you'll remember. So when all else fails, regurgitation and reciting, repetition. All right, and we do have a video here. There is a PDF that's with these slides on our website, and so that will allow you to watch this video. It's all about how to remember what you read. And so there are also really good YouTube videos on this as well. And we have a Rocky's Resources workshop on this too. So that is hopefully good resources for you to help you remember what to read as well. All right. And so if you have any closing thoughts or any comments, you can definitely feel free to email us. Thank you so much for listening. We welcome any kind of feedback that you have. So feel free to email us at rockysresources@wiu.edu. Thank you.